most people understand that in order to make progress, you have to do things which aren't necessarily going to make you the most popular boy on the block. And that's what we did. In that case, we had a decision to make, and we had to make a decision.
Did Donald Trump, in the flashy, high-powered world of the 1980s, foresee the very political landscape we're navigating today? Was the brash, gold-plated businessman just a provocateur of his time? Or was he a canary in the coal mine, signaling America's political and cultural turning points decades before they arrived? The 1980s were a defining era in American culture. Wall Street was booming, the Cold War was chilling, and television shaped our heroes. Amidst it all was Donald J. Trump, a real estate tycoon building not just skyscrapers, but a personal brand. While most billionaires quietly grew empires, Trump craved cameras. He didn't just want wealth, he wanted influence. Long before "Make America Great Again" was a campaign slogan, Trump was already speaking about the nation's decline, questioning trade deals, challenging foreign policy, and accusing the political elite of being weak. In this video, we'll examine whether Donald Trump's words from nearly 40 years ago were wild guesses, or uncomfortable truths that played out in real time.
You are a mover, you are a doer. If you could make America perfect, how would you do it?
Well, I think that America is a country that has tremendous, tremendous potential. I think that much like the mind, I think that America is using very, very little of its potential. I feel that this country with the proper leadership can go on to become what it once was. And I hope, and certainly hope, that it does go on to be what it should be.
To understand Trump's foresight, we need to understand the world he was reacting to. The US in the 1980s was facing growing economic anxieties. Japan was becoming an economic superpower. American manufacturing was declining. And while the Cold War remained a threat, global competition was shifting to trade and tech. Trump, though not yet a politician, was unusually vocal for a businessman. He called out the US government for what he saw as incompetence. He blamed bad trade deals, spineless foreign policy, and weak leadership for what he believed was America's slow fall from grace. And while his critics dismissed him as a loudmouthed egomaniac using controversy to sell condos, Trump was planting the seeds of a worldview that many Americans would later find compelling. He also faced backlash. In 1987, Trump spent nearly $100,000 on full-page ads in the New York Times, Washington Post, and Boston Globe, criticizing U.S. foreign policy and warning that allies like Japan and Saudi Arabia were laughing at us. He was mocked for it, but now it reads like a prelude to the America First movement.
Japan is one of the wealthiest machines ever created. Saudi Arabia, and it's not, hey, let me tell you, I'm a big beneficiary of Japan. They buy my apartments in spades, they're fine people, but they're laughing to themselves as to what's happening over here. We're not kidding ourselves. They're laughing to themselves, Larry, as to what's happening with this country.
Let's dig into some key flashpoints that reveal how Donald Trump, in the 1980s, may have seen the future more clearly than we realized. 1. Trade and globalization. Trump's obsession with trade imbalances began in this era. He wasn't wrong that U.S. factories were closing and blue-collar jobs were disappearing. While others praised globalization, Trump warned that Americans were getting shafted. Fast forward to 2016, and the Rust Belt states echoed his frustrations at the ballot box.
Is the solution to the American trade deficit to restrict trade through protectionist policies, or to train American business to be more aggressive and entrepreneurial?
Well, I think, just to answer your first part, I believe it's very important that you have free trade. But we don't have free trade right now, because if you want to go to Japan or if you want to go to Saudi Arabia or various other countries, it's virtually impossible for an American to do business in those countries. Virtually impossible.
2. Foreign policy and burden sharing. In interviews and speeches, Trump repeatedly questioned why the U.S. was footing the bill for Europe's and Japan's defense. This wasn't mainstream in the Reagan era, but it became a central theme in his presidential platform, calling out NATO members and pushing for America First diplomacy.
The question is, I've always felt that NATO and West Germany, I mean, we have all those troops over there. I feel that they should pay their way. And then my second question is, and I'll hang up, is what other topic is near and dear to his heart? Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I agree with you on NATO. I agree with you on other countries. I don't want to single out Japan. I don't want to single out Saudi Arabia, but these are countries that people understand the kind of wealth we're talking about, and I will single them out. But there are many other countries and taking tremendous advantage of this, including NATO. If you look at the payments that we're making to NATO, they're totally disproportionate with everybody else's, and it's ridiculous.
3. Nuclear anxiety and deal-making. A lesser-known point, Trump was deeply concerned about nuclear weapons. In a 1984 interview with The Washington Post, he expressed a desire to lead arms negotiations with the Soviet Union. It sounded crazy at the time, Trump as nuclear negotiator? Yet decades later, he was meeting with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, attempting that very thing. 4. His use of the media. Trump wasn't just talking about issues, he was mastering the medium. He built his public image on television and in tabloids. He called reporters pretending to be his own spokesperson, John Barron, just to influence how he was covered. Sound unethical? Maybe. But it was also a preview of how he'd bypass the press entirely as a political candidate by tweeting directly to millions of followers. The most revealing moment? That 1987 ad campaign. This wasn't Trump selling a product, it was Trump selling a vision. He accused America of being a whipping boy, claimed we were defending wealthy nations who don't pay us, and flat out said, "There's nothing wrong with America that a little backbone can't cure." That language, bold, blunt, nationalistic, was ridiculed then, but it became the heart of his message in 2016. What makes that ad so powerful in hindsight is that it contains the DNA of the Trump presidency: skepticism of globalism, disdain for political correctness, and a belief that only a hard-nosed deal-maker could save the country. My opinion? That moment in 1987 wasn't just a publicity stunt, it was Trump testing the waters. And the reaction, both the support and the outrage, showed him that his instincts about the American psyche were dead on. So, did Donald Trump predict the future? In a way, yes. Whether by intuition, business acumen, or sheer ego, Trump sensed where America was headed long before it got there. He saw the cracks in the system, economic inequality, distrust in government, cultural polarization, and he bet that one day those frustrations would boil over. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many of the things he said in the 1980s, once considered fringe or absurd, are now part of mainstream political debate. You don't have to agree with Trump to admit that he recognized a shift in American sentiment long before most politicians did. The 1980s, Trump wasn't just building towers, he was laying the foundation for a political empire. What do you think? Was Donald Trump ahead of his time, or just a skilled opportunist who got lucky? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this look at the roots of modern politics, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos where we dive into how political culture shapes America. Until then, stay curious and stay informed.